And good morning.
Good morning to you, sir. How are you?
Good, good. Now I was telling you I got woken up by my dog at 2 a.m.
Good in the morning.
and it's threw me out. I mean, I ended up falling back asleep, but now I feel like when you take a nap and you kind of wake up jet lagged.
Oh yeah, there you go. So you're wrestling with that this morning, right?
Yeah,
I've got my
yeah.
coffee, so
No, I'm good. I actually just did dunked my speaking of imagery, working on making sure your skin's nice and smooth. I just did a little face in ice water.
wow, look at you, man. You're all health conscious and doing healthy things. That's
Ten,
good.
10 seconds. Yeah, no, I love all the little tricks, but
It's all
um,
good.
well, good morning. How are you? Your imagery
Man,
looks
it's
nice.
already Wednesday, right? The week is just flying by. This has been a busy one, right? And I'm sure
Well,
yours
the
is busy too.
year
So.
is the year. I've got a theory that time is speeding up. It's just there's just too much stuff going on. It's like I can't get things done as the way I used to,
I
and
I hear you. It's a busy time, right? And I guess we all just do the best we can, right? You get done what you can get done, and you know the rest just kind of seems to take care of itself somehow. So,
no, absolutely.
hey, I
But
am liking this good weather, right? Are you warm up at your neck of the woods, right? Up there close to the water, right?
yeah, it's been nice. I've
Yes,
been
warm
enjoying the
enough.
sun.
Yeah, I'll take it. Right?
Some sunshine.
It's time for spring. Time for spring.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But and springtime's a good time to go out and get some photos done. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Let's talk
potentially.
about photos, right? I mean, we said last week as we're starting this kind of series on LinkedIn profile page reviews, right? Because we do get a lot of questions. I know our members have a lot of questions about that. And, we work hard to put out some content, but it just never really seems to be enough, right? And
Well,
I
the
think
main
the
thing,
impetus behind kind of this series of discussions, right? So, yeah.
yeah. The main thing is there's always somebody new who's retiring,
Yeah,
getting on LinkedIn for their first time, or
sure.
really can maybe had a LinkedIn profile, um, and just getting back or in this game, so to
Yeah.
speak. So it's
I
always a
love
new day
seeing
for
new
someone.
members' LinkedIn profiles, right? And you know exactly what I'm talking about because we throw around this discussion. We can tell if your LinkedIn profile is current or not, or if you have been using it or not, right?
Mhm.
And you can always see like new members to Blue Water, individuals that are just wrapping up their time in active duty and getting ready to step into their career progression. You can look at their LinkedIn profile and it's like you almost wipe off the digital dust. It hasn't been touched for a long time. Things are outdated, nothing's updated. They have the picture, in their flight suit or dress uniform or something, some war fighting pose there, no background image, anything like that. And their assignments and professional history's not been updated. I mean, so that's what we say. I can tell if you've been on your LinkedIn profile in a while, and if you haven't touched it, right? Spring's coming up, right? It's a good point, Scott. If you're stepping into it, right? Let's do
Yeah.
some spring cleaning. Let's come in and let's just hit this. And I think a lot of members, it can be daunting. Wouldn't you agree? I mean,
Oh yeah.
sometimes you're going, oh my gosh, I don't even know where to start. I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And this series, we're just going to take you step by step by step, right through your profile page, and then the next thing is right once you get it updated, you're ready to go. Now start utilizing it. Start making a comment. Start posting, and we can talk about that too. I think at the end of the series, right, how to do that. So we make it easy for our members here at Blue Water. Looks like Tori's logging in. Good morning, Tori.
Yeah. No, no,
Oh, he's got a question. He's got a question.
question for us.
Yeah.
And just to hit on that real quick. Yeah, everything's an algorithm, and that's really that's the buzzword that people throw around. The trick, at the end of the day, what the algorithm wants is for people to be active on LinkedIn. That's it. The algorithm it's about rewarding
Reward you, right? Yeah.
reward visibility, right? So what draws people's attention? and it's kind of different for everybody. And those who figure out their little formula, they get more awareness. And that's where paying attention to what other people are doing. Say, hey, why is that working for them? Or what is your intention? Is it to get a ton of views through the algorithm? Maybe not, or maybe not yet. So but give LinkedIn what LinkedIn wants. And
I always try to reinforce to our members, because I get it. A lot of our members aren't comfortable initially jumping right into the deep end, right, of LinkedIn and posting or doing video content or any of that kind of thing. And so Blue Water, right, we do post frequently, whether it's, reposting what we think are valuable, news articles or articles out there that deal with transition or career progression, or it's our own content or awareness, etc. And when I say we make it easy for our members, you're already following Blue Water. It's a safe space to get started, right, Scott? We just say, just go on and like a comment, or just say something as simple as, hey, Mike, thanks for posting the article. Or take the article, if you enjoyed reading it, forward it to somebody else for them to take a look at, right? In other words, you can take these baby steps, right, as you step into your new digital uniform, if you will, right? And you're starting to kind of build awareness and doing these things. Little steps lead to bigger steps. And then, to your point, give LinkedIn what it wants, right? Further reach,
right.
building.
So you can get what you want, which is for people to ultimately view your profile.
Absolutely.
And then when they get there, and so what happens is, when you do leave a comment, what do other people see? That's your opportunity to show up somewhere.
Yeah.
Pretty easily. So your profile photo is the first thing they look at. It's tiny. So take that into consideration when you're thinking your imagery. And then next to that is a headline. We'll hit on that another show. But, maybe using an emoji in there, imagery, draws attention to your, someone just, let me click on that guy.
Yeah.
Or gal, right?
Yeah.
That's all we're trying to do. And then when they show up on your profile, what's the first thing they see? What are the first things? Because yes, it's daunting. You do want to fill it out to some capacity that's updated, that feels personal. It isn't just, kind of like your officer evaluation. We're not doing bullet points anymore. We're telling stories.
Yeah.
So we can tell stories.
Have you got a profile page to pull up handy, Scott? Can you pull one up real quick? LinkedIn profile page.
Somebody's Lad Wheeler. I got my job resume on
Lad.
LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And so it's like, fine putting your resume, knowing that we should do targeted resumes when we're applying for a job.
Yeah.
If you are in a general setting, you got to hand out a general resume.
Right.
Well, that.
Lad, congratulations, right? You're living, that new digital age where there's value. As Scott and I like to say, finding your next success, turning your next success into reality, right? It's a game of inches. And Lad, I love that you shared that. Thanks for sharing it. And what we put out to our members is, because so many of them think it's a fairly senior cadre. They're 05s, 06s. We have a growing 07 and above contingent. And a lot of them are, social media risk averse. They just want to avoid it altogether. And what we tell them is hey, I'm not going to look people in the eye and say, if you have no social media presence, you will never get a job. That's just not true.
Yeah.
But Scott and I have talked about this, and what we tell and share with our members is, do we think you are at some disadvantage by not having a social media presence or a brand, or certainly, a professional profile out there? And the short answer to that is yes, we think you are at some how much disadvantage? I don't know, but I know Scott likes to talk about it. Instead of looking at it as disadvantages, what did you say last week, Scott? You said, hey, let's look at the goodness that it does, right?
Yeah, it's
It
just,
builds awareness, more people coming to you. And in Lad's case that he just shared, hey, the company that he's with right now saw his profile, was intrigued enough, gave him a cold call, and that probably led to multiple discussions beyond, to eventually extension of an offer, and now you land, and here you go. So it's a great example of the goodness, right, of having a profile like this.
Yeah. Here, let me
Thanks for
pull up
sharing that.
profile. No, yeah, thank you as well. That was very to the point.
I got my coffee, Scott. I'm keeping it going.
Cool. Yeah, because really the opportunity is, by being more active, by taking these extra little steps.
Yeah.
It's just the fact that most people won't do it. So that if you do, it's just increasing chances. Again, what does the algorithm want? They want people to do all the stuff on LinkedIn.
Right.
So, give it its effort. Doing updates, tells LinkedIn you're active. So even changing it from time to time doesn't hurt.
And we get it, right? Most of our members, fairly senior leaders, and not all. I like to see that leadership is now embracing social media a little bit more, right? We have a lot of flag leadership. We have NavAir. We have a lot of these commands that are embracing social media. Aircraft carriers, COs, air wing commanders, right? Various different squadron commanders. Like, we see a lot of senior leaders embracing social media. But that was not necessarily the case, even not so long ago, 2015, 16, 17, 18. So, 4 or 5 years ago, man, it was just, I don't want to assume that risk. And people just stayed away from this. So certainly when you're in high profile jobs, security clearances, commands, these kind of things, I just don't want to assume that level of risk. And I get that. But we're starting to see leadership venture into this a little bit more, and it's refreshing because there is a lot of goodness to this. Certainly, as you make your next step right into it. And Tori, if you're still up, I know you've heard me say this, and Lad, I'll just reiterate for you as well too. We reinforce to our members the importance of these tools. It's like, love them, hate them, whatever. That's one discussion. Put it over here. But what we absolutely want people to understand is that in this new at-will work environment, these are the tools that people are using to find you. And I'm going to pause for a fact there. Like, these are the tools that they're using to find more information about you. And if I can't find you, if you are not discoverable, is that a word? I don't know. If you're not findable, if you're not discoverable with these tools, are you at some, fraction of a
think about it this way.
Probably.
Think about it this way. Everybody does a resume. Most people don't love doing the resumes. So, now we got to do a little more.
Same kind of thing. Hey, I love the profile that you pulled up here.
Do you know John?
I certainly recognize the name. I know I've probably crossed his path at some point in time, but yeah.
I met John right before I met you. Here locally.
Yeah.
And little story background that's relevant. Former Navy SEAL, as it says on his profile. We can kind of go through his images as an example, because what I'm going to also mention is there'll be some things that John does that maybe you wouldn't do, because I'll explain kind of how John's shifted his profile. As you can see, he's now up to almost 130,000 followers.
That's amazing, right? Post. Congratulations, John. That's awesome.
Yeah. But when I met him, he was like me, just getting started on LinkedIn, probably had a couple thousand followers. And he met a friend of mine, a yoga instructor, and then he started they started a podcast where they talk about mindfulness. You can see his podcast there, Men Talking Mindfulness. And so that was opportunity he created out of LinkedIn. But also at the time, he was retiring out of the military, doing a job search, and he started just posting a lot on LinkedIn. And he went and worked for a number of different organizations before he kind of went out on his own. And now he's a consultant and does mindfulness and leadership coaching for corporations,
I'd love to
as a
bend
leader.
his ear and really just understand, how he left the, 3 to 5 to 8,000 followers and how he ventured into
Oh,
the,
he's
100
been posting every day for the last,
plus.
4 or 5 years. And
Yeah.
but he does it, very strategically, with imagery and, stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
And, you leveraging his military experience as part of storytelling.
Yeah.
He built this big audience. But so just wanted to bring up and because he posts a lot, he was the first one when I pulled up my feed just now. I was
Sure.
like, oh, well, John's a good example.
Yeah.
Because first thing we're talking about, of course, is the profile photo and then the
Yeah.
banner image. And the reason I like his example is even though he's got 130,000 followers, he's got a relatively simple but useful banner image. In some
Yeah.
regards, I'd even say I wish I could read it a little bit easier. But other than that, like that's all we're talking about. This is
Well,
just almost like your personal billboard. People are gonna see it
yep.
regardless. So if it's blank or not somewhat useful,
Yeah.
just make it
Blank,
useful.
blank background images. That just screams to me, not current,
Mhm.
lost opportunity, just all kinds of things. Right. And so,
Right.
when I look at somebody's profile page like this, and you've heard us kind of talk about it as well in with our members, and we call it alignment, right? And so, what do I mean by alignment? So, if we take a look at John, who he is, he's a retired Navy SEAL. Um, but then he's he's talking mindfulness. He's a podcast host. Like, he's seeking that wellness, mindfulness. Posts on leadership, wellness, humans being good humans, right? That peacefulness. And so I go, okay, so we now have an image of him, right, in his profile professional image there. And he comes across, I think, as very affable, right? He comes
Yeah.
across as a good human, right? He's got a smile, he's kind of looking into you, right? And then the background imagery, at least for me, and maybe this is feedback for John, but I feel relaxed. I feel that mindfulness space. I feel like that, man, if I was immersed in that environment, I could relax. So I read a little bit about who John is. I see a picture of him that draws me in. He's a happy kind of guy. He's a good human being. And then a little bit about the environment where he's trying to get, peaceful, good, strong mental health, well-being. I have alignment from the words from his picture to his background image. You with me? It
Mhm.
kind of flows, right? And so just to kind of keep in mind, we're not just picking images just to pick images, right? We like to see that alignment. I like to see a profile picture of an individual in the attire, right? That they are likely to be wearing, immersed in the environment. And in John's case, he's a relaxed guy. He's teaching health, being a good human being, mindfulness. He might go and do a speaking or might do his podcast with a ball cap on and a t-shirt. And I think that's
Yeah.
who he is, right?
Right. Right.
I don't know, but that's what he comes across as anyway in the profile. That's
Well,
alignment.
ironic, if I recall, he had again, this is where changes and testing
Yeah.
different ideas come up. I think a little bit ago, he had more of a kind of a collared shirt on, but again, he's positioned himself to be one of the influencers on LinkedIn. So we're not
Yeah.
saying you need to consider to use it that way, but to Mike's point, using that photo to try to show who you want to be in the space where you're going to be at.
Well,
What do you?
I think a contrast might be, certainly he's a former warfighter, retired Navy SEAL. So picture, in his profile image, a picture of John wearing his battle rattle, leaning up against a Humvee in Afghanistan, covered in dust, ready to go out and take the fight to the bad man. You know what I mean? Like would that image fit in this alignment, spectrum? Well, maybe he's trying to be a good human being. He's trying to kind of get, I likely to think it's not quite aligned as what we would want, as in comparison to what we're looking at here, where I get a very relaxed, wow, he's a good human being. It's somebody that I would want to spend time with. That's how he comes across. It lines up with his words on his descriptor. And the environment is a peaceful environment. Man, I'd like to have a conversation with John with that background, right? I mean, I could see myself doing that.
Yeah.
So let's just talk a little bit beeps and squeaks here on the profile picture, right? I'll geek out. The aspect ratio.
What's a beep and squeak? Is that a fighter pilot
beep and squeak
term?
is numbers, right? Numbers, right? Specific. So it's your best optimized pixel ratio, right? 400 by 400 pixels.
See,
so it's a one.
You know all that. I don't need. I have to Google that every time, but
yeah.
Cool.
So I've got a cheat sheet and I've got it up here, and it's going to be in some of BWA's content that we're putting together. And it won't be important to you. And this isn't anything you got to remember. But when you get ready to do your headshot or have somebody do that for you, or, there's other ways. Scott will talk you through, hey, AI is an option these days. That's the aspect ratio you're looking for. So when you upload it into LinkedIn, that's going to be your best aspect, your best clarity, right? That you'll come across in a full image in that space, right? So it's just something to think about. And then if you're looking at your background images, it's almost 400 to 1. It's 1600 pixels by 400 pixels, right? It's actually 1584 by 396, but about 4 to 1 is what you're looking for. And that will fill the space very nicely. Now, we've all seen profile pictures or pages where the background image, I know you've seen it, Scott. It's crunched down either top to bottom or left to right. And it doesn't quite fit, or it's really stretched out. And you're like, man, that's a funky looking stretched out picture, right? People are stretching it to fill the space. If you don't have to do that, don't. And in this day and age with ChatGPT, I mean, you can just go on there and ask ChatGPT, find me a 1600 pixel by 400 pixel image of a city skyline at night, if that's what you want to convey. And it will find you that image, right? And then you can access it and put it into your LinkedIn profile if you want. So we've got so many tools at your disposal that it makes finding perfect fits for, LinkedIn, Instagram, if you post there, or Facebook or whatever. There should be no reason for you to shove a scrunched up picture or a stretched out image. You just don't have to do that anymore, right?
Well, let's show how to do it real quick.
Yeah.
For those who don't, again, you could just Google, how do I do a LinkedIn profile image or do it. But the one that always comes up is Canva. So just get Canva.
Love Canva.
For free, right?
Yep.
And then when you're in here, now it's another tool you got to learn a little bit, but there are templates.
User friendly.
Yeah. It's pretty user friendly, but you can just search for things now. And ironically, I don't think the things are always perfect. But if we did, the profile image, so
there it is, background image, the second one down, and it gives you the 1584 by 396.
Okay, so that's
the perfect 4 to 1 pixel ratio. Look at that.
And then they got templates right here.
Yeah.
And so pick one, fill out your info, download it, post it.
It's really that easy.
Change the photo. You can come in and grab a photo. You can search for it, and there's photos. If you don't have the paid version, you don't get as many options, but you can upload your own photos, however you want to do it, and make changes.
No, I love
it.
That's right.
So that's how simple it can be. And then same with the profile photo.
Yeah.
If you do want to, even if you want to do something now, back to John, what do you think about that yellow, right? That's obviously it's going to stand out. Why would you use
Yeah.
that? It on his actual profile, it's a little jarring, right? So, I don't think the average person would want to use that. But if you think about what he's doing, when he's commenting on other people's posts, people see the yellow, then they see his, retired Navy SEAL LinkedIn top voice. He's positioned himself where people are even more likely to click on him now. So using the yellow is an attention grabber, right?
Yeah.
And it also is, saying, hey, obviously with the personality and the hat, that says I'm talking, and then the men talking mindfulness stuff. He's going to grab their attention. If they're interested in those things, they're more likely to click on it. So, Tori says he's got a great highly recommend people go listen to the
Great
show.
podcast. Yeah.
And actually, I'm going to go do a Spartan race with them in Dallas. I think I'm going to try to go in October.
Oh, wow.
They got
Okay.
a team going. So if people want to join us for that.
Nice.
Okay, cool. So,
no, Canva's a great tool for that. And it's the one I personally utilize. Again, I'm not trying to sell it. There's several others that are out there, but it really does do a good job. It's an intuitive platform to use. And their free service gives you everything pretty much that you need, right? And hey, I got a question for you, Scott. Back on the profile page there, have we seen this? Let's talk about this for just a second. Have you seen the banner that LinkedIn will allow you to attach to your image? Hey, I'm open to work, right? It's the little green banner that goes around your name, open to work. And in fact, if you just go to LinkedIn and just into the search bar, type open to work, and you'll get a profile that pops up there. Just type in open to work and you'll get one that pops up. You can select it. You'll find somebody in the all people results, I'm sure. There's one right there.
Not to pick on anybody, but we're third connection. We're probably not. Yeah, we're not gonna. Not in our network. But his profile is great, actually. But all right. So to the point.
Yeah, the open to work. So what do you think about that?
I think it's an A/B test. There's no right or wrong. It's an option, and the only way to know now conceptually. I think it makes it clear if you have a very specific skill set, that's something that's going to be searchable that people are searching for. I need a digital programmer, because they're high. I know I need a AI coder, right? Probably in high demand right now. Maybe that simplifies the conversation.
Perhaps
in the military veteran space, when people are looking for veterans, and as long as you understand, kind of like just being in yet a stack of a ton of resumes, it's just clarifying. But maybe there's another way to convey that message if you're more active. So but ultimately, test it both ways, see kind of what results you're getting.
You can, right? We highly encourage members to treat their LinkedIn profile not as a static tool, but as a dynamic one. In other words, don't be afraid to go in there and make changes. This would be an example. Maybe you try it for a month with it, try it for a month without, see if you notice any difference. You can change your, your location field. Like this individual's in Austin, Texas. If he knows he's getting ready to move to San Francisco, California, but he hasn't quite made the move yet, but he knows that's happening later in the year, he might change his location to see if he gets caught up in some other searches. Now, this is what we would say, to our membership. And again, keep in mind the Blue Water member, the average Blue Water member, we are right now, just off the top of my head for round numbers, our membership is about 50% 06s, 25% 05s. So 75 to 80% just right there are pretty senior leaders, right? 05s, 06s. We've got about a 10 to 12% growing contingent, right? Of 07 and above. This is math in public. I'm not adding it up, but we're about 8 or 10% O3s, O4s that are hitting that first off ramp. That 10 to 12 year point in their career. And then we do have a very small kind of 1%, those very, very 2%, very senior E9s, right? Big E9's been around for a long number of years doing big jobs. So that's kind of the makeup of us. And what our membership both articulates to us in specifically, in and around the use of that open to work banner, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is, if I could paraphrase, this is what we hear. Hey, Mike, I tried it. Yes, I did see an increase of traffic across my profile page, but it wasn't the traffic that I was really interested in considering. Meaning, and again, we're a unique demographic. I think you'd agree. We're fairly senior laden. So open to work. Hey, I get traffic coming across, but it might be, hey, are you interested in a floor manager job at IKEA? We're willing to pay you $29.95 an hour and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Okay. Again, don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying that's a demeaning role. That's not the point I'm trying to make. I'm doing it horribly. But it's typically not the next career step that most of our members are looking for. The other thing that we put out to members with the open to work banner is we see it as a passive approach. What do I mean by that?
Yeah.
A passive approach is I'm going to hang this around my neck, and it's almost like I've fallen and I can't get up. Somebody please come help me, right? Like there's a sense of desperation to it. In other words, I'm not going to do anything. I'm open to work. If you have a job, come to me and give me a job.
Yeah.
And which is contrary to what we try to, encourage our members. Hey, our members, you're going big game hunting. I want you to select your target set. I want you to find your next best fit. I want you to target your way into this company. And then I want ultimately you to make the decision to be into the driver's seat. In other words, don't give away your decision-making authority by hanging this around your neck and somebody coming to you and telling you, hey, I think you should do this job. No. I want our members, right, to tell them, hey, this is what I'm pursuing. I think this is, I've done the deep dive. This is the best fit for me. So again, but I come all the way back to your point. I agree with you. I'm more passionate about not using it, but I don't think there's a right or wrong answer here, Scott, right? I think it's up to the individual. This is a good discussion. It's information out there on both sides. This is what it will do for you. This is what we think it doesn't do for you. Up to you. And maybe a middle ground is, in fact, I just had a conversation with a member yesterday who's up in Washington, D.C., and I saw him. He posted it on his profile, and I'm like, dude, what are you doing? And so we talked about it, and he goes, yeah, there's a setting in there where you can say open to work, but you can make it only visible to, and I forget what it is. It's like talent acquisition managers.
Oh.
So in other words, you don't have to display it to the whole world, right?
Okay,
So if somebody's coming to your profile page with that background, they'll see it, right? But you or me, when we go to the person's page, that's not our background. That's not what we do. We don't see it, right? So there are some settings and filters you can put on there.
Yeah, that might be another. I mean,
maybe that's a good middle ground, right? Maybe that's a good middle ground.
Right. I mean, good to know. Like the settings and the features on LinkedIn are changing all the time. So when you are going to be, making changes, looking through the settings, we'll probably have another episode talking just about some settings.
Settings are just, it's the devil's in the details, right? On how you set it up. But in general, that's some things to think about. So, hey, just real quickly, Scott, if you were, if you were going to get a headshot, a profile shot done, why don't you talk us through, like, we have some resources. Eric Stegall at Portraits for Patriots. Michael Comoros is another one up in Washington, D.C. He's a Blue Water member. He does some wonderful work up there. He's able to take some amazing shots for members. And then, there are others that are out in the landscape as well. But you took an interesting approach, and I love the results that you got. Why don't you talk us through that? Right, you approached AI to do this.
Yeah, ultimately, all imagery, just like text,
Yeah,
when you're being professional, is edited, right, at some point. And so, what's your priority when it comes to time and money and energy? And when you got, and I've done, lots of photo shoots where you pay, whatever the cost, or
yeah,
sometimes you're in a situation where they're offering, free headshots, and that's all you
mhm,
need. you know Grab those opportunities when you can. Quite frankly, just grabbing your iPhone, the quality is good enough these days, so you can get a um,
pretty good image.
pretty good image.
Yeah,
Probably John's photo that we were looking at, it's probably just an iPhone photo, and then he did a little Canva work around it. Like that can work well. Um, and I do recommend, getting, a professional photo thing done. But here's what the AI can do: is you can just do a photo shoot now.
dude, it was an
In
amazing results too. I
eh,
mean, you had some beautiful
right.
pictures.
And I'm not, it's like, what do I really need? I just need to have an image that, shows who, I am. So I've, took my old professional photos, and I was like, I want to test this out. Hey, this is the new thing. Is this going to be useful for others as well? So I probably threw a little bit more at it than most people should. I was, wanted to see, different quality levels, and there's some other tools out there where you can see um, how the quality comes back. But to get just that, little, circle photo,
Yeah,
um, it's a more common way to do it these days, and at least gets you, feeling like, all right, I can portray myself in a professional manner without having to spend, it takes a couple days, because now you got to go shoot. Hey, how am I looking? So
yeah,
if that's daunting and it's going to prevent you from getting an updated profile photo up, then use the new tools available. Everything's photoshopped anyways, right?
yeah.
So, hey, this is the new world we live in. Um, and, uh, and, take advantage of it if it makes sense for you. Doesn't hurt.
Yeah, the images that you secured through your AI session, right? And again, how did you do it? You said you had to send in a number of pictures
Yeah.
to
Send
the
in.
site. Did you scan them and upload them? Is that what you did?
Uh,
Or
I just grabbed, 15 photos. Now you want to try to get them where you don't have facial hair in some and others, and
yeah,
glasses on or off. You just want to use,
kind
um,
of consistent.
try
Yeah,
to consistent images, and then, have your spouse take a look at it and say, does this, which ones are the look most like me?
yeah,
And don't pick the crazy version of the background, but me in front of a tree was basically, I was just going to go outside and take a photo of me in front of a tree. So now it is already, photoshopped
yeah.
and edited, so it took a couple minutes,
It's amazing,
and
right?
$60,
Listen,
something like
I
that, or
saw
maybe
it.
it was
You
maybe
shared
it was
some of the
more than that.
pictures with me. They were amazing, and I don't know. Maybe there is, a trained eye out there, somebody who runs in this world who could
I
say,
think you should
"Hey,
try it,
well, I'm open to it. I seriously
because
am. I'm absolutely
because
open to it."
like I haven't seen you in your new Blue Water environment actually wearing a suit and tie. So,
No, no, I
that's
don't. Right?
ironic, right?
It's kind of more like this. It's kind of
Right.
more we're kind of polo shirt or certainly open collar and a jacket. That's kind
Yeah.
of what we do. So, challenge accepted, right? Okay, I'm on.
Trevor, you still listening? You just tried it too, and he sent me one, because they'll send you back different outfits, and he
Yeah,
sent back one where he looked like James Bond. It was hilarious. He had a high black turtleneck on, and he was.
nice.
No, anyway, so it's a little fun as well, but
Yeah,
you know other people out there that have tried this, let us know your experience, how you get good results.
We've had a couple of members that do it and share with us. And to your point, you know what, Scott, even if you go to like a Eric Stegall or Michael Comras, they'll take, it's a digital image, right? And then they can go in and shade it and adjust the lighting. So it's edited anyway. This is, I think, just an extension of that, right? I mean, right? It's not a huge drastic departure. The things they're all pixels, right? And they're just being manipulated.
Yeah. It's
right?
all just, part of understanding the new digital landscape of the world we're entering. I mean, we used to think it was crazy that we wouldn't go and meet in person, that instead we do a Zoom call. Now it's not weird at all.
Yeah, not even. Yeah.
So that's just part of, hey, what's most efficient at the end of the day? Like what is worth putting your time and energy into? And sometimes if you are trying to build like maybe a different type of, if you're an actual have a service like Tori, for example, he should show himself on his boat, right?
Yeah.
This wouldn't be as useful, right? I do insurance. Like, what am I gonna show? So it just always depends on the context. And when the time's right, my wife and I are gonna go and do a more, for our other podcasts, we wanted to do that. Just haven't put it on the schedule yet. So just depends on the situation. I think for LinkedIn profile photos, take advantage of it so you get something going. So
I think it's an easy, right? You don't have to go somewhere, right? So it's easy, affordable, and I think the results you get are it's a pretty high resolve product that you get, right? So it's nice. Yeah.
Hey, I pulled up some data that I wanted to see if anything. All right, I did a research on ChatGPT to see if anything came back. Some stats. Okay. Nothing here that's easy to read. People recall 65% of visual content after 3 days compared to just 10% of text-based content. So it's all basically this is all.
So you remember what you see more than what you just read,
right? Yeah. And images is worth 1,000 words, right? So we've heard it. So it's all subliminal type stuff. 75% of Americans trust people more when they have an established personal brand. Nearly,
I think you feel more connected, right?
Nearly all recruiters, 88%, evaluate online profiles, specifically looking at imagery for professionalism. So,
okay.
Having a profile. I mean, I'm assuming everybody's at least got a profile photo, but
not every. We still talk to our members. Some will show up and they won't have anything at all, or some will have a misaligned image. Most of them, we not most. We
some
see
people
a lot.
Don't realize they have a setting on that doesn't make their profile visible unless they're connected with someone. So that might have been a setting you set way back when you were kind of thinking of LinkedIn, like Facebook, like only want to be connected with friends. Yeah. So, make sure you're just updating that stuff as well. But
no, I love it. So,
well, the other one thing I wanted to share back to John.
Yeah.
Because there's one other aspect of imagery that he takes advantage of. I wanted to point out, if I can find his profile again. All right. Because
you probably post videos and imagery and
right. So I wanted to share a little bit of that because that's where he does use his kind of, he posts all sorts of different stuff. Again, this is kind of his thing. He actually posts multiple times a day. But hold on. Often he'll post kind of some let me see if I can find one.
Thought-provoking images or something.
Well, no, more like kind of personal story stuff. So he does I mean, he does a lot of this, but his most popular posts are often, him in uniform when he's kind of talking about being a Navy SEAL or whatever. So anyways, I assumed one would pop up, but I guess he posts more than I realized. But so anyways, go check out John's profile here. He's, he'll bring up some of the, and it'll show stuff of him in uniform, prior. So, he's, talking to over 100,000 people. So he's posting all sorts of stuff, but you can still get ideas from someone like John of, oh, you know what? I actually have an idea of something I could post around that. And maybe it's a photo of you when you were downrange years ago, but you just remembered a little life lesson, right? That just shows you care. And if a recruiter's going to see your profile, they're going to end up seeing that post as well. So if that can help them get to know you a little bit better, wouldn't that hurt?
Absolutely.
All right.
Nope.
Stop stalking John's profile.
No, it's all good. I was going to see if I could figure out how to share the screen. Share a screen.
See, we've graduated Mike from LinkedIn to now using Stream.
Oh my goodness, right? It's crazy.
Thanks, Tori. I appreciate you joining, man.
Yeah, Tori, thanks, man. Love seeing you dial in here, punch in. It's awesome. I can't figure it out, Scott. Dadgummit, man. I was gonna basically share a little bit of content, right, of the launch on Blue Water Digital, right? And you probably saw that. We posted that about a week ago, I guess.
You want me to pull it up?
I was just going to share the screen, but I don't know. Maybe can I share a video file? I don't know.
Well, you should be able to just share your tab.
Yeah, man, I think so. Present, share screen. Got it. All right, let's share that. So what do you see?
It's pulling up like a LinkedIn post, or
how about that?
Is that what you want?
Yeah.
Hold on. That's your screen. What are you trying to share?
So are you watching the Blue Water Digital?
No, it's showing your LinkedIn screen.
You know what? Share this tab instead. What about now?
Yeah.
What do you see? Okay.
Your video's playing.
Okay, so we'll play it. This was the content that we launched, right, a week ago. Hi, my name is Mike Wallace. I am the CEO of Blue Water, and welcome to Blue Water Digital. We are building a long-standing, enduring relationship that will be here for members before, during, and after your career progression. We're hundreds of individuals who are all part of the Blue Water family. Navigate with us to your next success. It will happen professionally, personally, into something great. We look forward to navigating with you to your next success in a current, relevant, and credible manner. Welcome aboard. Yeah, so to your point, right?
Nice.
It's got, hopefully, now I stopped sharing. Is that correct?
No, you're good. I mean, we saw the video. No, it's great. I mean,
so, that's content, and we wanted to kind of get that out. And so hopefully members, when they see it, they remember it, they retain it, right? Because Blue Water Digital is a big part of what we're trying to get out there right now. So
no, I mean, for the image you're, who you're talking to, who you mentioned
Yeah.
earlier, who your audience is, what are they kind of expecting to see when they're looking to get help, when you're in the senior military Pentagon style environment, you're used to kind of seeing the DoD contracting style,
Yeah.
Lockheed, and
Yeah.
so that's the space, that's the imagery you need to show
Yeah.
to say, hey, come, at the end of the day, we're just a family, we're just going to talk to you one-on-one. But
dude, we took the fight to the bad man as a team, and hey, thanks, Gavin. Thanks for punching in, sir. Good to hear from you. Blue Water member from way back, man. Stepped in with us all the way back in 2021, as I recall. So
cool.
But again, no, you're right, Scott. We're trying to get that content out. We're really excited, right? We've just launched that platform here in the last few weeks, and man, we're already, if you can believe it, it's in the digital world. We've launched it, but we're already working on version 2, right? V2 of the platform, right? It never stops, right?
Yeah. So. Fly it, break it, and then
yeah. Dude, it's a good session, man. Look at us. I mean, I love these things, Scott. We're already 50 minutes into this thing. It's crazy, right? So lots to talk about. And I think this is going to be a good series as we talk about, digital uniform, right? Your term, and building the brand and going over the profile page and hitting the highlights. What do you want to dive into some settings next week, or what? What do we want to talk about next week?
Yeah, that's not a bad idea, because I forget about doing that. Because that's
go through a lot of different settings, I think, on your profile page, right? That's important. And there's no shortage of them, as you know, right? Kind of knowing where they are and how to find them and how to access them. It's probably a good thing to go over.
But let me remind people, if they are interested in diving into this stuff a little bit deeper, I'm working on this idea of kind of having a group session where we dive into LinkedIn and other topics, just to, how do you actually do this stuff? So
yeah,
if you've been thinking about do it, we're looking for, small group, around 10 people.
You got my registration, right? I registered the other day.
Yes,
right?
sir. Yes, sir.
So
I know Tori was interested and stuff. So anyways, no cost or anything, but if anybody's interested in checking this out with us, just exploring interest right now, and kind of go from there. But I got a little video kind of explaining the idea on this page here. I think I got the link below, and then there's also a link for Mike's your 2025 career progression guide as well.
Excellent. Yeah.
So check those things out, and then connect with us on LinkedIn if you haven't already. And next week, either get into settings, or maybe next couple topics: settings, headline, and profile.
Yeah.
We'll kind of we'll hit on those over the next couple sessions.
Validating, right? Certifying your profile page, right? That's a kind of a new feature too that you can kind of get into.
Yeah, I haven't even got around to that one either.
Yeah, no, I did mine the other day, and so it'd be a good next step, right? It's probably the next logical step as we kind of go over people's profile pages. So cool. I look forward to it. It'll be another good discussion, Scott.
All right, brother. Well, thanks everyone. I appreciate all the engagement today.
Yeah.
And,
thanks for the questions.
At the end, the moral of the story is, you don't know unless you try and see if you like the results and make adjustments for there. But it does take the activity. Yeah. And the advantage is, most people won't do it or won't take the extra effort. So if you do, you're just increasing your chances a little bit. That's the algorithm. Give LinkedIn what it wants.
Give it what it wants. I like it.
All right. Well, take care.
All right.
See you next week.
Thanks, Scott.